Hello there, everybody. Welcome to another fantastic live episode of Dream Business Radio. I am your host, as always, Captain Jim Palmer, the Dream Business Coach. I'm the founder of the Dream Business Mastermind and Coaching Program, creator of No Hassle newsletters, and host of Dream Business Radio, my weekly podcast created to help you build your dream business so you too can live your dream lifestyle. This is episode 584. My special guest this week is Damon Limby. Damon, how are you doing today?
Captain Jim, I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
I'm excited to interview you. You got a great story, and folks, my guests always we get together 5 minutes early, called the green room, whatever, and we're chatting. I look up and go, "Oh crap, we got 20 seconds."
Yeah.
So I know it's going to be a great conversation. I appreciate your being here. Anyway, hey, this episode of Dream Business Radio is brought to you by the Dream Business Mastermind and Coaching Program. That is my extraordinary virtual mastermind group I've been leading since 2009. Next year, 2024, will be my last year. If you want to learn how to charge what you're worth so you can work 3 days a week, create multiple streams of revenue, and create some amazing brands, check this program out at dreambizcoaching.com, dreambizcoaching.com. Speaking of charging what you're worth, that's a very big key to working 3 days a week, by the way. I've got an ebook that you can put your hands on right now, or your eyeballs, since it's digital, I guess, unless you print it out. But it teaches you exactly how to charge what you're worth. That's the biggest problem a lot of entrepreneurs have, is they get so many calls, or I'm going to do this and do that. So they try and put a price on it. But you really want to learn how to charge by transformation, which I kind of show you in that book. You can download a free copy at work3daysaweek.com, work3daysaweek.com. And at the end of this show here, I'm going to tell you how you can get free copies of all of my Dream Business books. But anyway, let me properly introduce Damon. We'll dive right in. After nearly 3 decades, Damon has led his company, which is called Learnit, through the ever-changing L&D landscape, leadership and development, by the way, gaining insight into what works, how great leaders learn, and why Learnit all companies outpace their competition. In case you're not paying attention, learn it all. That's going to be the theme here. And Damon brings an athlete's perspective on leadership and training to his informal mentoring of executives. He has distilled those hard-won insights into his new best-selling book, They Learn It All Leader, Mindset, Traits, and Tools. And I am honored again to have him on my live episode of Dream Business Radio. So once again, Damon, welcome to the program.
It's great to be here, Captain Jim.
Hey, so catch us up a little bit. I mean, I was excited talking with you. I love the topic of leadership because, entrepreneurs, small business owners, I don't know, you're not as old as I am, but there used to be a book called Get Fired and Get Fired Up. So people who find themselves out of work, well, I might as well start a business. And then there's other people who just have a skill and a talent and they get started. So they take their skill and talent, start creating business. But next thing you know, they hire 1, 2, 3, or maybe 20 or 50 people, and they've got to figure out how to lead a team when all they really did was want to be an accountant or an attorney or a copywriter, whatever. So, but you came to this by way of baseball. Tell us a little bit about that story, if you would.
So sure. So my background is I was born and raised in the San Francisco Bay Area, where I live now, in Sausalito. And growing up, my dream was I always wanted to be a Major League Baseball player. And out of high school, I was fortunate enough to get drafted by the Atlanta Braves back in 1990. So I'm pretty close probably to your age. And so that was really my first big decision. Do I go and play professional baseball, or, I had a full ride at Pepperdine University, and I chose, Jim, college mainly because I believed in the vision that our coach had. Coach Andy Lopez had this vision that we're a small D1 team, and we're going to win the World Series, and you're going to be a big part of it. And so, long story short, I got hurt, kind of came in with an imposter syndrome. Anyways, transferred out, ended up at Arizona State, got to play at Arizona State, hit a home run in the College World Series, which my wife is so tired of hearing that story. And like a lot of baseball players and athletes, I was ready to make the next step, and try move into the minor leagues. Didn't get drafted, and all of a sudden, my identity of a professional baseball player, or being a baseball player, at about 22 just kind of ended. And it's like, okay, I put all my eggs in one basket. What do I do now? And I'm fortunate, I know you talk to your audience as small business owners and entrepreneurs. I'm really fortunate. I came from a family. My father, my grandfather too. My father was an incredible
Oh,
entrepreneur.
cool.
Yeah, um, and so he had a bunch of businesses. We had a large real estate company in San Francisco, and everything from a savings and loan to a Chinese restaurant and a shopping center, all kinds of things. One of the businesses that was just opening up when my baseball career ended was Learnit, this computer training company. And like a lot of great entrepreneurs, where Learnit started was my dad wanted to digitize our portfolio of real estate. He went and took a class. He thought it was boring. And like a lot of entrepreneurs, he figured out how to solve his own problem,
Hmm.
short, quick classes. And I just didn't know if my skills were transferable. So I started as a receptionist and worked my way up. It's been 28 years now.
Oh my
And
goodness.
I've been the CEO of Learnit for about 22 years. And I'm proud to say that we've trained and we've upskilled over 1.8 million people during that time.
Wow.
Yes.
That's really incredible. And it
Thank you.
is interesting, your dad's story. So many people they think, okay, I need help. I'm going to go with this, and then they
Yeah.
find out there's got to be a better way, and then they go create that better way. Not everybody starts a business creating a brand new widget. Sometimes you just perfect the way the widget is made.
Yeah.
Sometimes you perfect the way the widget is marketed and sold and
Mhm.
serviced. So anyway, I'm so tell us a little bit. By the way, I think you paid me a compliment. You said we're similar age. You got out of high school in 1990. Did you say that?
Yes.
I graduated high school in 1976.
Okay. Okay.
So
I said we were similar in age.
there we go. We're in the same deck,
Yeah.
same. I don't know what that is, but
Yeah.
anyway,
Yeah.
eat right, all that good stuff. Maybe drink too much. But anyway,
Yeah.
so let's talk about learn it all versus know it all. Like
Mhm.
that's one of your main messages for the company. Talk about that.
Yeah. So, like you mentioned in the introduction, I wrote a book. I got a copy of it here. I think you can see it. The Learn It All Leader: Mindset, Tools, and Traits. And it's really it talks about the differences between a know-it-all and a learn-it-all. And a know-it-all is somebody who comes into the conversation. They have everything figured out. It's my way or the highway. They're not open. They're kind of firm or strict on what they want to do. And versus the learn-it-all who comes in and says, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to surround myself. I don't have to have all the answers. I'm not going to be afraid to say, hey, I need help or ask questions, and that there may be a better way of doing things. So keeping a beginner's mind, being open, not afraid to make mistakes. And yeah, so that's basically the what I look at the difference between being a learn it all and a know it all. And in my book, that's pretty much the premise of the whole book.
You know what? So a lot of time, I think people, and I mean, I go back a long way to some of the early. What was Tom Peters wrote a phenomenal book. You remember that one, right? That was like
Of course.
that was
I
like the
love
granddaddy of leadership books.
In Search of Excellence.
Yes, and
Yeah.
this is crazy. And I always tell people this who I help write books, they're going to remember one or two nuggets. So if your book is
Mhm.
100 pages, 300 pages, one of the things I remember in Tom Peters' book, and I still, every time I get on a plane, he says, a coffee stain on the flip down tray means they don't do engine maintenance. Meaning, if they can't keep the trays clean, what makes you think the engine? And I mean, that has got to be, 50 years old or more, which is kind of funny. Maybe not that old, but anyway, in books like that, I told you I have a little voice in my head that says, go off here instead of going where you want to
Yeah.
go. But Damon, sometimes you hear when you're developing leaders
Mhm.
um, to support and work on the weaknesses, not necessarily the strengths. Strengths are good to have. I don't believe that. I think if you got strengths, man, amplify the strengths that you have and your team has, and find a way to fill in against the weaknesses. I personally, I think it's a waste of time trying to fix whatever's a weakness. I'm sure we could have a nice agreement about that or disagreement. But
You're preaching to the choir.
okay, good. So, and as an entrepreneur,
Mhm.
when I started coaching, one of the first things I heard from some of my clients was, I just need to be able to clone, because I work with a lot of entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, startups, and they're like, I need to clone myself. No, you don't. Like, if this is your strength, then as you build your company, we need to backfill in here, here, and here. We don't need more of you.
Mhm.
And there's another thing. So this will be the world's longest question, it sounds like. But um, eventually, you're going to need perhaps marketing. You're going to need sales. You're going to need accounting. You're going to maybe need legal. Depends how big your company is.
Right.
So, what are the most critical skills that you think an entrepreneur, a small business needs in order to succeed? And then what happens as their company starts growing?
Well, that's a great question. I
Super
think
long.
that when you start a business, either as a solopreneur or if you raise some money and you're starting to build a team early on, I think one of the most important skills, Jim, is you just got to have resilience, and not be afraid of failure, because it's going to happen, right? Nothing goes in a straight line. So I think that that's important. And I think you also need to be able to understand, like what you said, self-awareness, understand what your strengths are. And I always recommend, because we work with all kinds of businesses at Learnit, but with small businesses, I always say, be careful. Don't go on a hiring spree too early. Figure out, what you need, and, and hire for that. But yeah, you don't hire people exactly like yourself and clone yourself. Hire people that can help support the areas that you're weak in, or there's like, I believe you should find things that you're at your work that you're passionate about, that you're strong at, and then you can be successful at. And then you hire and you delegate out or automate all the other work that goes along with it. So it's the awareness to being able to hire, and be strategic about that. It's also, I think, really important to be open to feedback. Be open to feedback and stay curious. Listen
Mm.
to what other people have to say. Listen to your customers or your potential customers, and be able to pivot. A lot of times when you start a business, one of the things that you said earlier, which I agree with, you don't need to create some disruptive thing all the time. Sometimes there's already a product out there, but maybe you can make it 10x better, but get curious about how you can do that, how you can make this product better, and be open and flexible to pivoting to make it better.
I also say a lot of times that if there are things that are as an entrepreneur, if there are things on your to-do list that
Mhm.
just go from week to next month. For example, one of the hardest things, I've gotten fairly good at it, is writing a book. And a book
Mhm.
is a tremendous marketing tool. You're finding out now, I'm
Absolutely.
sure.
Yeah.
And it's just a great positioning tool. If it's written properly, it can be a customer magnet. But a lot of people, they can't sit there and pound it out, right? So it stays on the to-do list. I'm going to get that done. You know what? I'm going to get that done first quarter next year. Meanwhile, if they had their book done last summer, they'd probably be getting new customers from it. That's just one example. There are other things. I mean, people in new businesses hate cold calling. Well,
Mhm.
sometimes that's what you got to do. My point is, if there are things that you hate doing and you're not going to do them yet, getting them done will help build your business. That's where you should, hire. Again, whether it's a W-2 employee or a 1099 subcontractor, that is something where you should backfill. I don't know what it is with you, Damon. I'm asking these questions like 10 minutes long, but what do you
Great.
what do you think
Great.
about that's less
I love
talking you have to do?
no, I love where you're going with this. And there's a book, Eat the Frog. I'm sure you're familiar with that.
Hmm.
And what that means is get the hardest things out of the way first.
Yeah.
And as a small business owner, and for those entrepreneurs out there listening, you know, maybe set some goals on what you want to accomplish for the week or for the quarter, and focus your day on that. It's very easy to get distracted and get busy and finish the day saying, well, I didn't really accomplish anything. So set the goals on getting done what's important. Like you said, if it's writing a book, which, by the way, for anybody out there listening, I couldn't recommend more writing your own book. It's like this decade's version of a digital business card. It opens a
Yes.
lot of doors, and it's difficult. Get somebody like Captain Jim. I think if you help do that or whatever,
Yeah. One of
or
my
go out and
companies.
read that book Bird by Bird, or Stephen King on writing. Those are two books that are great to get you an idea, but you just got to be consistent and do it. But yeah, as an entrepreneur, you need to figure out, sometimes you have to do the tough things. Sometimes you have to make cold calls. Sometimes you have to let somebody go, but get those things out of the way. And I think you'll end up being much more productive.
So there's if when you get on a plane, we'll go to the plane again. And you hear the intro at the beginning, and they say, if you're traveling with children, put your oxygen mask on
Mhm.
first, because you have to be alive, you have to be well cared for before you care for others, which is kind of a neat metaphor.
Yeah.
So, as a leader, Damon, as you know, I'm sure you work with not just entrepreneurs, but companies with larger teams.
Mhm.
What do you say to the leader of a team who sometimes feel like he or she gives support to everybody else, but nobody gives it to them? How do they take care of themselves when maybe they're facing some adversity or even periods of doubt?
Great. I want to take it a step back. My definition of a leader
Hmm.
isn't, you don't have to manage a team of 2, 10, 100. I think leadership starts with yourself, being self leadership, having accountability, taking care of yourself, leading by example. And what I have to say around, answering your question of, if you're out supporting everybody else and, you're putting in long hours and you're beating yourself up, you're going to have to find an avenue to have a little bit of work-life balance because, I love to work. I love going into the office. I love working from home. But, putting in 14, 16 hours a day, a lot of times isn't productive. You need to carve out times to, whether it's spending time with your family, taking care of yourself. Because if you're really going to be the best for your team, you need to be the best version of yourself going out and helping it. So, and
True.
and the other thing, Captain Jim, is, which is hard, and I'm getting better at, is you got to learn how to say no. Because
Yes.
everything you say yes to, it means you're going to have to say no to something else. So, if conflict is tough, for you, you got to have to learn to say no. And one of the things you'll realize is, a lot of times if you say no to something, people are like, cool, no problem. They go ask somebody else. But don't over extend yourself or over promise and underproduce.
One of the I'm going to get a little vulnerable here. One of the most difficult things that I've had to manage, as been doing this for 22 years, as I escalate up a little bit, people will reach out to me through Facebook, through
Mhm.
LinkedIn, through email, and they'd love to. I just want to get on the phone for 10 minutes. Would you have some time to listen to an idea? Give me some advice on this. Do, whatever. Would you listen to this? I could literally, fill 2, 3 hours a day if I said yes to all those. Part of me, I call it the personal Jim Palmer, feels like a
Yeah.
schmuck for saying no, but
Right.
the businessman says, I've got to serve my clients. I work 3 days a week, and
Mhm.
I got to be very disciplined in order to do that, because I love my work life and my lifestyle right now. So, but that is an example of when saying no. Because if I said yes, well, I'm going to have to say no to taking Mondays and Fridays off, like I've been doing for 7 years, right? So saying yes means you have to say no. I know, in doing my research, Damon, you played for like 3 Hall of Fame baseball coaches. How much of what those, I mean, if you're a Hall of Fame baseball coach, you are a leader, right? So let's just
Right.
get that on the table. What did you learn, some leadership lessons from that experience?
So coming into the business world, I never had any like really business experience. I mean, I traveled around the world playing baseball, and I was really nervous of, where my skills going to be transferable. I didn't realize at the time that what I learned from those 3 Hall of Fame baseball coaches, Andy Lopez, John Nochi, and legendary Jim Brock, I learned all about leadership.
Mm,
I learned everything from how to set, like I mentioned earlier, how to set a clear vision, how to run a team with integrity, how to being able to set things up so that we kept ourselves accountable, be competitive. But the funny thing about it is, I learned from them and also my dad, really, you know, um, and I've used that, like I talk about in my book and the stories, but I've used that to carry on at Learnit and working with customers. But the other funny thing too is, I've played for some baseball coaches, doesn't matter who it is, who are terrible coaches, and I've learned from them too. I've learned what not to do. And a couple of those things are, if you get a win, celebrate the wins for your team. Give your
mhm.
team the credit. Don't always put yourself out there as the one who's, saving the day, making the big choices. Give credit to your team. That's a big one. And then, of course, if things go wrong, then as the leader, step up and take accountability. And
Right.
that's that, to me, that always stuck with me. I remember this one coach where, whenever we were going well, it was all about the strategies, the pitching changes. He did a great job. and then when we were losing, he would say, well, our number 4 hitter struck out with the bases loaded, which was me. And how are we going to win in a situation like that? And I think it's demoralizing for your team. But if you celebrate your team, they're going to go out and they're going to find more ways to continue to make your business better.
That's a very, very good point. I want to ask you about your book, The Learn It All Leader, Mindset, Traits, and Tools. Chapter 1 is called Go All In, which is, again, something I believe in. I don't believe success, at least high levels of success, comes from an a la carte thought process. What do you mean by go all in, Damon?
What I mean by go all in is kind of like what you just said. I mean, especially if as a small business owner, it sounds great on paper, like, hey, I run my own business, but you're going to have to go all in. You're going to have to you're going to have to roll up your sleeves and do the work. Now, it doesn't mean you have to do it forever. You could always pivot and do something later, but you have to put in the hard work and be consistent. Otherwise it's just not going to pan out. There's really no, in my opinion, no shortcuts. And I think what's important with that is you got to get out of your comfort zone. True growth, in my opinion, only really happens when you step out of your comfort zone and you're not afraid to go all in, stick your neck out there. Maybe it works out, maybe it doesn't. But if you don't try, you're never going to know.
100%. Assume nothing. I mean, that obviously, I think you talked about being curious. Is that what chapter 2 is about?
Yeah. Assume nothing is really just have strong opinions and hold them lightly. Meaning that if somebody comes up with different facts, then maybe there is a different way to do something, and again, that goes back to the know-it-all versus learn-it-all, where, know-it-alls will put their stick in the ground and say, no, this is the way it's going to be, right? Where a learn-it-all is like, hey, you know what? Maybe there's a different way to do something.
Chapter 5, you wrote about taking risks and making decisions. Now, my best-selling book is actually my mindset book called Decide. I forget which shoulder it's over.
Yeah.
So it is about the ability to make decisions quickly and move on. Talk about taking risks and making decisions.
Well, that's actually my favorite chapter. I'm a big decision-making fan, and there's a lot more to making decisions than just, one chapter. I actually co-wrote recently a book with a thought leader in decision-making named Candace Porter called Good Decisions, Making Good Decisions. And really what I'm saying here is, well, what I like most about the chapter, Jim, is it's a story about how I threw a party for Guns N' Roses, Axl Rose, back in the day. And there were some hiccups that could have happened, and I had to make a decision to move forward with it or not. And I kind of use a framework that I've used in a term I call purposeful awfulizing. And what I mean by that is, if it's
wait a second, purposeful what?
Purposeful awfulizing.
Like awful? Like, oh.
Yeah.
Okay, I thought I heard that.
Yeah, purposeful awfulizing. So let's say you have a decision, and fast forward out to a year. And like, if you look back on it in a year from now, if the absolute worst case scenario happens, can you live with it? Right? Early on, if say, for instance, if Learnit overexpanded, if the market crashed in a year from now, could we afford to make it through? Well, if the answer is no, then go back to the drawing board, right? Go back to the drawing board now, and get other ideas and do something different. But if you have 70% of the facts, like Jeff Bezos talks about, and it's a decision you can live with, then it's important as a leader to be decisive and move forward.
Yes, I agree with that. Many years ago, before I became an entrepreneur, I helped grow a national franchise. And the last couple of years, we grew to like 80 stores in 18 states. And I had a team of about 10 people. We'd get around the conference room table. You always had to launch new initiatives. You're only as good as your last hit record, so to speak.
Right.
And they're paying you, not commission, but, percent of revenue. And so one of the things I probably read this in a book somewhere, so it's not me being super intelligent, but so we're getting ready. We're getting ready to launch this program. Everything's in place, getting ready to hit the proverbial go button. I said, before we leave the room, everybody come up with at least one thing that can go horribly wrong, in the next 30 days. And we think we'd already thought about everything. And all of a sudden, well, what if we do this? What if the supplier can't deliver in time? What if this? And then because we thought of these possible, mines in the field, we started coming up with contingency plans and or whatever you could do. And then we pushed the button, which is kind of a, not to pay myself a compliment, it's kind of a cool thing where you're ready to go, but then you think about what are the things that can go wrong and work to eliminate those, or at least, mitigate those, and then go. What do you think of that?
I think it's awesome. I think that, and I didn't create this term, but and maybe in our Amazon, pre-mortem. Most of us are familiar with a post-mortem, right? You go back and you reflect and what could you have done differently. A pre-mortem, again, is trying to address, like you said, what are the mines in the field that we may not know about, and what's our contingency plan going to be. So I think that that's critical, whatever you want to call it or however you want to do it, for very important decisions.
I have two more questions. We got about 4 minutes left, Damon. Chapter 7 is called Play to Win. And I'm curious about what you wrote here, because I haven't had a chance to read your book. But I think there's entrepreneurs who play to win, and there's entrepreneurs who play not to lose. Two different worlds.
You took the words out of my mouth.
Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. Well, you expand on it since you're my guest.
No, but you're right. First of all, I think it's important to win well. You know what I mean? Win well, win with integrity, do the right thing. But there's too many entrepreneurs out there, Jim, like you said, or business owners who aren't, who play not to lose, want to play it too safe. I was just reading this book. I think it's something about it's escaping my mind. McKinsey people wrote it. One of the most important things for leaders and CEOs to do is to make bold decisions, and take chances. And as a entrepreneur or small business owner, playing to win also means getting your team members and giving them the support so they can make bold decisions as well and take chances, and so if you play it safe too often, your growth again may not be there. But if you play to win, and I don't mean, just stomping out it doesn't always have to be a zero-sum game, but you got to be competitive and you got to want to win.
Yeah. To me, it's like you mentioned work-life balance, which is a term that I don't think fits 100% in the entrepreneurial space. And one of the and I get, you got to be there for your family, you got to be there for yourself. But one of the examples I like to give, which is, playing to win, is partially in this category. Let's say it's a Thursday night. You've been working for like 6 months to get an appointment with this new customer, potential client, could like change your business, right? Oh, it's the dream maker client.
Right.
And you're about ready to leave. You're going to go to a kid's softball game or something like that. And your phone rings and says, "Hey, it's John. I happen to be in town. I didn't call you because I really came in for a meeting and I'm flying out, but they canceled my flight. I know you've been trying to get at me. Would you like to have dinner and tell me about your company?" What are you going to do? Right.
Dinner.
That's right. I'm going to dinner. Really sorry. Funny, please film his game, whatever. But
hey,
that's what a winner would do, in my opinion.
Hey, it's so funny you say this. On the flip side, my wife's a great real estate agent. And when I was walking back from a coffee earlier this morning, she's like, she's got this great listing up in Napa. And, she had plans. She was going to take our, pick up the kids from school or whatever. And she's like, "I got a last second appointment. Can you step in and take the kids for me?" And I'm like, "Absolutely, I'll do it." You know what I mean? Because it's like you have to, especially as a small business owner, you have to, of course, work-life balance is important. But this isn't an 8 to 5 check-in, check-out type of job. You gotta make some sacrifices and make things happen.
So, are you in Napa? Is that where did you mention Napa?
No, I mean I'm in Sausalito, but
okay.
She's got this great client of hers who's bought in several houses, and one of them's in Napa, and he's selling it.
Got
now.
it.
So,
yeah. So she's got to be there for the great client. Okay. Got it. Damon, first of all, great interview. I'm sure people want to connect with you. Where do you want them to go to Amazon for your book? You want them to go to the website? Give your 411 if you would.
Yeah. So the Learn It All Leader is on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, whatever, wherever you buy your books. Please connect with me on LinkedIn at Damon Lemby. And my company website is learnit.com, learnit.com. And if you go there and you find a class that you're interested in, whether it's Microsoft Excel, Photoshop, or how to become a better leader, send me a DM on LinkedIn, and I'll shoot you a code to a free class, $250 class. So
Wow, very
check it
cool.
out. Yeah.
So you want them to DM you on LinkedIn, and you'll respond with a code.
Yeah, they could send it anywhere, but I think the best way to get a hold of me would be following or connecting with me on LinkedIn. I'd be happy to send them a code for a class.
Great, Damon. Thank you very much. Really appreciate your time today.
Thanks, Captain Jim.
Hey, folks, that wraps up this very special interview with Damon Lemby, Mr. Baseball. We'll call him Mr. Baseball now leadership. Yeah. Oh, there you go. Yeah. And you can connect with him. Well, he just told you where to connect with him. By the way, you can connect with me. If this is the only place we're connected, which I highly doubt, you can connect with me at getjimpalmer.com. That is my home base. Again, if you're interested in joining me and about 24 other smart entrepreneurs in my virtual mastermind, the Dream Business Mastermind, you can go to dreambizcoaching.com. This episode will be available for replay on YouTube. So if you want to share it with friends of yours, that'll be the easiest. That'll be up tomorrow at Captain Jim's YouTube channel. You can get free copies of all 6 of my books on Amazon. They're obviously Kindle downloads, 100% free. They're free on Barnes & Noble as Nook Books, and they're also in the iBook store. Don't forget to get a free copy of my report, Charge What You're Worth and Work 3 days a week. It worked for me. It's been working for me for just about 8 years now. So get a copy at work3daysaweek.com. That's enough URLs. You probably can't remember even the second one I told you, but that's it. Until this time next week, another fantastic interview. I am Captain Jim Palmer, the Dream Business Coach, and you take good care.